Hi everyone, welcome to Michelin King. Today we've got an expert video on Rory, as you can see here. So Rory is our super wet look car wax. It's within the luxury range, hence the gold metallic labelling. This is probably a wax that if you like lavender, you'll absolutely love Rory. So it's a really, as I said, a really wet look wax. So there's a couple of things that we need to do before we start applying the wax, and that's the great thing about these expert or tutorial videos. We give you the complete ins and outs, how to get the best from the wax, and really the more technical side of things. So do you really need to put a sealant under a wax and such like? So a lot of our videos cover these kind of more technical aspects of detailing. So first off, what we need to do, we've got a wax on this already, and what we need to do is we need to use a product called Pure. So Pure is a paint cleaner. It's a chemical paint cleaner. So what it will do is it will remove the old waxes and sealants, as long as it's not ceramic. A true ceramic would need a more aggressive method such as an abrasive, so that would either be wet sanding or a very abrasive polish, unless it's towards the end of its life obviously. But with this, it's just a paint cleaner, very simple to use, but what it does is it gets into all the nooks and crannies of the paint and removes everything. Sometimes we have only used this just last week, so I'm not expecting miracles this time round, but if you check out last week's video, the amount of grime that it removed from the bonnet is quite incredible, considering there was only 4 or 5 weeks in between. So it's a much deeper clean than a detox and an alkaline style product. So this is specifically for deep cleaning your paint. So let's get started. Now what we're going to do is just open the bottle like so. 4-inch microfiber pad available on the website michelinking.com. These are brand new, so just give them a toughen up, and then we're just going to put our Pure onto the pad. Just a couple of Zorros on there is plenty, because we're only going to do half the bonnet, so we don't need to go mad. Give the top a wipe off, and then that's it, sealed for the next time. So application wise, all you want to do here is just dab it onto the paint so that you're picking up new product each time. The first dab, you probably want to spread that over just slightly so that you've not got a concentration. So just up and down, very nice and easy. Now you're not working this into the panel, you're only spreading it because the product will do the work for you. So just nice and easy. And you will get some residue off onto the pad, so you will get things like tree sap and whatever onto the pad, so you will see a difference. Obviously this is just very light contamination because we have only used it last week, and then that's the fresh side, so you can see there's a slight difference. Probably what you'll find, what's presenting on the pad so to speak, is the old wax. That's probably what's on there. I wouldn't imagine there's too much grime on this within the week, but when it's pollen season and whatever, and there's lots of tree sap coming off, sometimes you can be quite surprised within a couple of weeks what actually builds up. Now you only use this, we've had a few questions, so you don't need to use this. Say for instance if you wax your car on the Saturday and then you want to wax it again, don't use Pure again because it will take the old wax off. Just add another layer of wax once you've washed the car. So you don't need to use Pure before every wax application. It's just simply there to give you an undercoat, a base to start from, and just really to give that paintwork a deep clean. Right, so that's now cured fully. You can see it's hazing over. Hopefully you can pick that up in the camera. Now the last stroke I did, so to speak, was across the waist. So the easiest way to remove this, and it is really easy to remove, I'll just take the work cloth, which is plenty plush enough, and we'll just go up and down, just basically the opposite direction in what you did as your last stroke. And you don't need to remember the last stroke, because you'll see the when it starts to haze over, you'll see the direction in the hazing, so it's quite apparent. It's not there's no sort of guessing to it, so to speak. And that is now a beautifully prepared surface, ready for either your sealant or your wax. Now, right, so that's us remove the pure. Showed you how to apply it, how to remove it, how easy it is, yet how effective the product is itself. So the next thing is we've got to choose our sealant. Because we're coming into the winter season, now Rory isn't a winter wax, so to speak, and it's neither a summer wax either. It's a wax you can use all year round. The wax, of course, isn't aware of the season, so it's indifferent to it. But if you want a wet look wax, that will give you about 3 to 4 months longevity, then Rory's the wax for you. So the next thing we want to do, as I've said, is choose our sealant. So we've got Guard, which is our longer term, more towards a daily drive or winter, kind of autumn season, that type of thing. Or Titan, which again is a year-round sealant. The difference is Guard will last about a month longer than Titan, but when you've got the wax on top of it, it doesn't really matter anyway. And what I'll show you at the end of the video is some top-up sprays that we offer, just in case you get a very harsh winter and you're not able to, maybe, if you so wish, top up the protection. Now, bearing in mind, if you apply this wax, say, you'll get about 3 to 4 months from it anyway, so it should take you through the worst of the weather. So on to this Titan, we'll just take another one of our 4-inch microfibers. And what we'll do, just open the top here, give it a shake beforehand, and then just another wee twist there, and then just spread it. So this is just a sealant, so all you're doing is spreading it across the paint. You can use, you could use a dual action polisher, you can use an orbital, whatever it might be. I'd stay away from rotaries just because they have a wee bit more heat and they'll dry the sealant out too quickly. So try to stick to a lower heat alternative, being an orbital or indeed a dual action polisher. Now, same process as pure in terms of application. Just want to dab that onto the paint, take your first one and then use that for your last lot. So the first one typically has more product on the bonnet, so towards the end, scoop it up again and then just apply it, and that's you. So again, we're just going left and right, and we're going to remove this the same way as we did pure. So you want to remove it in the opposite way. You don't have to, it's just, it'll make it a wee bit easier, and that goes for really all products that you're applying to the paint. Just remove it in the opposite direction. This is curing really nice already, just simply because we've used pure and we've prepped the paint properly, so the product is gliding over the paint just simply because it's nice and clean. And the sun's coming out as well, so there we go, it's all happening. Right, so we've applied that now. Traditionally, I would give Titan or Guard about 5 minutes to set up. It's designed so that you can apply it to the whole paint, so if you start off in one corner, work your way round the whole vehicle, and by the time you come back round, it will definitely be ready to come back off. Obviously, if you're using a dual action, you'll get a more uniform application, you'll get a thinner application, so you can obviously go with a second layer as well. Hand application is what most of us do, and that will give you just as good as a result. Now, because of the weather, we've got a bit of wind here and it's bright and sunny, so this is curing quite quickly. It will not cure hard onto the paint, so you don't need lots of, if you leave it for half an hour, it won't have sunk into the paint or anything like that. It won't be a nightmare to get off. It's as easy. It's one of these products. Titan is either cured or it's not. It can't over cure, so to speak. So really easy to remove, as you can see, coming off nicely. And it's a show car sealant, so it gives an extremely nice high gloss wet look finish, which is why I've chosen it, because Rory is a wet look wax, so I want a nice sealant to go under. Now, without further ado, you don't need to wait or anything like that, you can just crack straight on with your wax. So as we've said, this video is going to be covering Rory. So Rory is our wet look wax. If you like lavender or you like really wet look waxes, then I think you'll absolutely love Rory. Lovely pour on this one. And all we're going to do is take our applicator pad here. This is our carmine, is what we call these. It's a slightly harder wax, so probably a few more swipes of the jar than normal. Harder waxes just means that the wax content's higher, which is why you'll get a good amount of longevity from this. So again, very similar process to Guard, Titan, Pure. You just want to apply the wax a section at a time and dab it onto the paint so that you're picking up new wax. Now, this wax is really easy to apply. It's very difficult to over apply Rory because it is a harder wax, so it leaves it's not a particularly oily wax, so to speak, so it's very easy to apply. The nice thing about Rory is it will nourish and feed the paint, especially if you don't have clear coat paint as well. So clear coat paint is a wee bit more susceptible to oils and such like, and that's all for the good when you're using high quality waxes such as this. Now the luxury waxes tend to take longer to cure simply because we're using only natural products in here. We don't have any petrochemical byproducts etc. within this wax. So in terms of curing, it's not actually the majority of the wax is curing solid on the paint. It isn't actually flashing off, so to speak, so it's giving you more of a hard coat onto the paint, so that in turn gives you obviously a better finish. It looks better because you've got more product on the paint, and typically it will last quite a long time. Bearing in mind this is silicone free, there are no synthetic products within this wax whatsoever, which in my mind is why when you apply this wax, certainly to the whole car, it's very difficult to get anything that will rival it because it really stands on its own. It's very unique, very special wax. Obviously, as we do with Michelin King, this wax will be available on the website to buy. As you can see, probably about 10 or 12 swipes out of that, but still, just to give you an idea, still absolutely plenty of wax in there. We've only really skimmed the top, so always makes for a good buy. So, since we're waiting to allow this wax to cure, we'll talk just briefly about top-up sprays, when to use them, what they are, and the different types that we offer. So first up, we've got a silicon dioxide spray. So this is essentially your SiO2 spray. This will last you about 6 months per application. So if you were to, say if you put on 2 layers, one layer will give you 6 months. I would always put on the 2 layers, just belts and braces type thing, just to make sure it's a nice even coat. It's very fast, very easy, very effective to use, so it doesn't take long at all. So 2 coats, you know, it won't take too much of your time, but the rewards will be there. You'll definitely get that 6 months. It's very hydrophobic, so when I've used this in the past over the car, maybe it's been raining or there's some dew on the paint, by the time I hit the motorway and I get to work, the car's completely dry. Of course, if it's not raining in the way here, which it normally is in Scotland. But it's a fantastic product. It's definitely one of our core products within the range, because we tend to see this absolutely flies off the shelf during winter period when maybe you're not getting as much chance to wax the car. If it's very cold, then this is a product that's really easy to use still in very cool temperatures. Now in terms of looks, this will give you a glassy finish because of the SiO2 content. It gives you more of a glassy, kind of wet look, mirrored type finish. So it's quite a different finish to Carnauba wax, but quite a lot of people use this. The term is Wax Plus, so quite a lot of people use this over the top of the Wax Plus. Because it's silicon dioxide and not a true ceramic, so to speak, it's much less fussy about what's underneath, and it will still give you that 6 months longevity. So some people will use a concourse wax, for instance, in winter, and then top it with Wax Plus. You'll get the look of the concourse wax, and then you'll get the protection of the Wax Plus. So very versatile product. Great with one of the products that's very popular as a twin set would be Titan and Seal. So Titan's a high gloss sealant, and then Seal obviously is the spray wax. Now these two combined together will give you better longevity than using one, just basically using one on its own. So that's enough time passed, I think. Considering the weather conditions, we've got quite a dry wind which is helping the wax. Ideally you do want to leave this about 45 minutes, but because we're doing the video, we can remove the wax and give you an idea of what the finish will be. Now I'm just taking these, the work cloth again, changing it up just to show you a different type of cloth that we offer. And last application was up and down, so I'm just going to go across the way, and what this is called is breaking the seal, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You're just breaking that seal of wax. To be honest, it looks as if it's actually pretty much cured. This is an incredible wax. So you've got, because it's a high wax content, you've got this silvery shimmer to the paint, which is indicative of a high content wax. So it's always a good way to check your waxes as well. If you've got that kind of silvery finish to them, that's what gives you that finish. Now in terms of wetness, this is unrivaled. This is the wettest wax that we offer within our range. Lavender's certainly up there, but it's probably like comparing League One to the Premier Division. There's a fair chunk of a difference. Absolutely blown away by this. It's one of these things, we don't get a lot of time outside of work to play around with the waxes, and it's always a bit of a surprise when I go back to something like Rory, that the last time I've maybe used it is when I've developed it. It could be, so there might be a couple of years between me using this wax and actually using it again. So in this case, the wetness, and we'll bring the camera around to let you see this, it's just absolutely phenomenal. So I think this will possibly be my my go-to wax for the winter, because it's just absolutely insane. So that's available on the website just now. Let's bring the camera around, we'll do a quick debrief on what we've done, and then you can go off and hopefully get your own jar. Take care guys, bye bye. Right, so as you can see, just a selection of the products that we've used and discussed today. Obviously starting off with the Pure, which is here. That's the Peri-Wax cleaner, or just the paint cleaner. And then what we did is we opted for Titan, which is our high gloss sealant. And then lastly, of course, we topped it off with Rory. Now we did discuss some of the spray waxes and other sealants that we've got. But what we'll do is just bring you around and just admire the finish. It's absolutely incredible. You can see just this area here, it's just like a swimming pool. It just looks absolutely soaking wet. You've got this nice jetting effect, and because it's a luxury wax, that effect will last. You know, it won't wash off in the first wash. You'll get this really wet look finish, and that's what it's all about. When you buy a high quality Michelin King wax, this is what you can expect. You can expect a finish that is just absolutely incredible. Obviously with it being more technically minded, then you're hopefully picking up some of the tips that we use here every day to get the best from the waxes, and just even that, to remove and apply in opposite directions, it will just make things a lot easier for you. So check it out for yourself, and hopefully you get a chance to purchase Rory.